Right here, Willie.
Don't need nothing, just hit one of them.
Bottle.
We'll do three. All right, so let's keep, you want to keep score too? You're going to sit right here. All right. Down memory lane with Napoleon McCallum. We're going to see if Napoleon Nap can throw. Here we go, Nap.
Come on, Nap.
Lieutenant.
Run through it.
Breathe now, breathe. Oh, man. Let's go outside. Let's go back.
One more. We are going to keep score. We're tied at 3. Let's bring up the great Reggie Kinlaw. Reggie, come on up. Here we go. Let's work with defensive players. All right. You can pick them up. Oh! The leader with 5. All right, there he is. And finally, the great Kenny King. Kenny King is here. Let's help Kenny up here. We got Kenny. Kenny, did you throw a few in your day? No. You never threw one in your day? Huh? All right, didn't choose you. Marcus got the throw.
Scoot up more. There you go.
All right, we're going to start, gentlemen, by going down memory lane. And Willie, I'm going to start with you. At what age, what time in your life did you realize you had the talent to play football? Pop Warner, high school, how did it all start for you?
Well, I started in Georgia as a little kid running a lot. I started playing football my freshman year in high school. And the first time I touched the ball, I ran for a 69-yard touchdown. And then I ran 3 touchdowns for kickoff returns for touchdowns, so I thought I could play then.
So it was pretty early for you.
Pretty early, my sophomore year in high school.
Napoleon, we know about your backstory, getting into the Naval Academy and the great career you had, but how did it start earlier? What was your first vision of touching the football and getting into the sport?
Well, first position I played was water boy. Because I was too small. Coach is like, you're just too small, you can't play. So I started off as water boy in the projects of Lincoln Heights, and then we moved to the farm and went from a pretty much all black school to all white school, and just running away from everything, got faster, and played a little what's called Lear's Meet, just football there, and I guess that's when I knew I could play football, because I just loved the game. So ran for touchdowns, caught the ball, all of it. So yeah, that water boy experience helped a lot.
The water boy, not many men humble to say that. Reggie, what about you? When did you get your start touching the football, playing, and knowing you were going to start tackling people? When did that happen?
Well, it started off at Miami, Florida. I was at the boys club. They had a Pop Warner team. You had to be 145, and I showed up, got on the scale. I was like 165, 175. And I told the coach I want to be a linebacker. He turned around and looked at me like, hey, my linebacker's on 145. So what I did, I went on a diet, got on a diet, stopped practicing every day. I missed the first game under 1 pound. I was 146. And after that, I said, if I could do this for Pop Warner, I could do it in high school, and I could do it in college. So I started off with Pop Warner football.
Pop Warner football. Kenny, you? When did the story begin for the great Kenny King?
Gosh, I had two older brothers, and in the King family, you played sports. It was Texas. I'm from Texas, so Texas football. It's all about football. As a young boy, 8, 9, 10 years old, we played football out in the front yard or in the roads. And all the kids would come down, all the boys would come down, and we'd start playing football there. But then when we got into organized football in 7th grade, I remember my coach, he told me to line up at wingback. I didn't know what a wingback was. So he picked me up, took me over there, put me down, and he says, King, you'll never amount to anything. But that motivated me, and I've had conversations with that gentleman and that coach since then. But that was one of the things that motivated me, got me going. And I tell you what, high school was a lot of fun, and I got to go to college and met this guy.
Well, I'm going to stay with that. I'm going to go back to Reggie because on our far end, we have two of the greatest players ever from Oklahoma. So, Reggie, you're there playing in high school, start to become a standout player. How did they find you to recruit you to come to Oklahoma?
Well, Oklahoma started coming out when they recruited Elvis Peacock. You guys probably heard of him. And his dad started recruiting me. Gene Hofshaver from University of Oklahoma. He came out a couple of times, and it was between Oklahoma and University of Florida. At that time, in 1975, the Florida schools wasn't winning. I want to go play for a winning team. And one of the reasons I went to Oklahoma because I used to watch the Selman brothers. There was 3 Selman brothers starting, and I wanted to be one of them Selman brothers. And I figured if I go to Oklahoma, they could teach me how to play defensive line. And when I got there, I met this guy. We wasn't roommates our first year. He sat up in the room and smoked cigarettes all day, didn't go to damn school. Didn't go to class or nothing, he went to practice. So we ended up, had to go to summer school, both of us. So that tell you what. So we ended up going to summer school together and became roommates and doing all season stuff. And then I guess Barry put us together. I guess he want me to keep an eye on him and make sure he go to school. But this has been my dog since, this is my brother from another mother right here. I love him.
50 years. Kenny, how'd you get recruited to OU? What was the recruiting story like?
Oh gosh, I was sitting around watching TV one day with my brother. He had gone to Wichita State, and he asked me my senior year. He says, "Hey, where would you like to go?" I said, "I'd really like to go to OU." That same day, it's like with internet now, you can be talking on something, next thing you know, it pops up on your phone and all this other thing. But anyway, that same day, I got a phone call from Oklahoma. And we said, well, you're interested in Oklahoma? I said, yeah, I'm interested. I'm definitely interested because that's where I wanted to go. So they sent a guy named Steve Barrett. Steve Barrett came to Clarendon, Texas, and literally stayed in Clarendon until signing day, national signing day. It was 2 choices between Oklahoma and Texas A&M. And that was a very tough choice. Texas A&M told me that if I go to Texas A&M, all the financial aid you need we'll give it to you. Okay? And this is, I'm a little kid from Clarendon, Texas, 2,000 people. That scared the hell out of me. Literally scared the hell out of me. But, so the decision was Oklahoma, Texas A&M. And I finally said, you know what, when I went to Oklahoma, I I got to see the university. I got to fly a plane because Barry Switzer came in with a little twin-engine Cessna to Clarendon and picked me up. He made me take the wheel. So I got to fly a plane, and my first time in a plane too. But yeah, that was my thing.
What a story. So two guys know each other 50 years. We'll get into the history of the Raiders coming up. Nap, for you, academics, to get into the Naval Academy, what was high school like the senior year, 11th grade into that, and how'd you end up at the Naval Academy?
Well, elementary school, I was probably a CD student, and we got to the farm in Milford, Ohio, and my dad had me working on the farm, and I knew I did not want to be on the farm. It's when the astronaut program kind of really started, and I was like, man, I want to be an astronaut. And so found out astronauts are smart, so had to get my grades up. And then where do most of the astronauts come from? At that time it was Michigan and the Naval Academy. And I wanted to be a pilot, I'm a big Star Trek fan, so, I wanted to be Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk always got all the ladies, the aliens. That was cool. And then my coach, I think I was the third leading rusher in the city of Cincinnati. My coach sent a letter to Michigan saying that I wanted to play there and the Naval Academy. And Michigan said I was too small, too slow, so didn't get that. And so it was the Naval Academy, and off to try to be a pilot and an astronaut.
Wow, the astronaut story is amazing. Willie, for you, you're running elite track, and you're an athlete, and you're getting discovered. So what was that step for you out of high school before you became a pro?
Well, I was recruited by several colleges. Decided to go to the University of Tennessee, not because it was the closest, but it had a great track program. It won the SEC championship like 17 times in a row. So I was, of course, Clemson was there, Georgia was there. So Johnny Majors came to my house to recruit me, and I said to him, I said, look, if I decide to go to Tennessee, one thing I'm not doing is playing football in the spring. I'm running track. He said, okay, cool. So that decision sort of led me, because at the time Tennessee had 98,000 people in the stadium, so big time football. They had a great track program. So my first year at Tennessee, did well. After the season, I knocked on the coach's door and I said, Coach, remember you said I could run track? He said, I'll see you in the fall. So I ran track, made the Olympic team my first year, and it was great.
Wow, Tennessee, that's a great story, isn't it? Amazing. All right, gentlemen, you all have distinct stories on how you got to the Raiders. Kenny, I'll start with you. Let's start off with your draft process. Kenny, coming to the NFL, before you came to the Raiders, how did the whole process go, coming out of college after a really good career at Oklahoma to get to the NFL?
Well, I got drafted by the Houston Oilers in the 3rd round, and spent one season with the Houston Oilers, and that season we made it all the way to the AFC West Championship, and got beat by Pittsburgh. It was April of the spring '80 that I got a phone call from Ron Phillips and said, we just traded you. And I said, where to? And he said, Oakland Raiders. I slammed the phone down. I remember this song, McFadden and Whitehead, Ain't No Stopping Us Now? And then I had a dog. He was running behind me up and down the steps because I was running and crying because I wanted to get the hell out of there. So I came to the Raiders. I get to the Raiders and it's like, this is going to be a great opportunity for me. So when Mr. Davis came and got me, it was a huge thing for me. And I'd never met, I've told a few people this story, I'd never met Mr. Davis. And so I thought Al Locasell was because they're both Al, right? but anyways, when I first met him in training camp in Santa Rosa, you could smell the perfume or the cologne that he wears when he comes into. And we're on the second field over here, and I'm like sitting there. We're stretching, and Arthur Whittington and Terry Rubisky and Booker Russell was there, and Van Egan. We're all sitting there and we're stretching, right? And everybody, he's here. And so I'm like, who's here? So, Mr. Davis. And I go, that's not Mr. Davis, that's Mr. Davis over there. But anyways, when I first met Al, he walked up to me and he said, I saw you play. I saw you play in Colorado. And I saw you split that secondary. Yeah, I just knew I had to have it. Welcome to the Raiders.
Amazing, yeah. When I talk to these men all the time back in Vegas or if it was in Oakland, they all have their Al Davis story. And I love your impressions. You don't try to copy each other with your impressions. Reggie, your journey wasn't that easy, right? The draft process and what was going to happen to come to the Raiders. Tell that story.
Well, I had a totally different story.
He had a long way.
Very long way. We had an apartment together, and first day we sat around because we had to wait for a phone call. It was like all this blah blah now. So the first day go by, then one of us got drafted. Second day go by, neither one of us got drafted. I went to the gym and started playing basketball. Third day he got picked up. Fourth day went by, still playing basketball. Fifth day went by, still playing basketball. So, make a long story short, I was in the gym playing basketball, and one of my boys came up to me and said, you just got drafted by the Oakland Raiders. So I went, oh shit, that's my damn team. Because I really wanted to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Oakland Raiders. So, to make things easy for me, I just put it in the back of my mind, 12th round, that's not saying anything to me. I'm going to make this team. And once I got there, we had Dave Pear, we had Mike McCord, they was playing the same position. And I'm sitting up watching these guys. Well, they just picked up Dave Pear from Kansas City. No, not Tampa Bay. And I'm sitting up, I'm watching these guys practice, and I'm like, I know I am better than both of these guys. I don't care how long they've been in the league, I'm gonna take their job. I'm taking somebody's job. I'm not leaving this team. I'm a 12th round, and what's so bad about it, I wasn't A, I was B 12th round pick. Because they had 2 picks that year. And I'm like, okay. Hey. So, by the second year, I had a pretty good, decent rookie year. Had at least about 4 or 6 sacks. I used to be the 4th man coming in. And I was playing, they got rid of Mike McCord, Dave Pear was starting. And back of my mind said, I know I'm better than him. So somebody got to go. I know he wasn't about to leave that season because Al just picked him up from a trade. So when you're a first round or a second round draft choice and you start, ain't nobody gonna come in and take your job right away. You got to take some time. So I'm sitting the second year. I'm sitting in the training room getting taped, ankles and knees. Not knees, but ankles and hands. And Earl Leggett, our defensive line coach, come up to me and he said, played Washington Redskins, he said, you're starting today. I said, what? So my heart dropped down to my foot, and hey, it's been a nice ride ever since.
Absolutely, probably the greatest 12th round pick story ever. And a shout out to Rob Martin, the late pick who ended up having a legendary career. You think of first round picks, undrafted players, and that's one of the greatest 12th round pick stories you'll ever hear. Napoleon, for you, you got a requirement for the Navy. This is a fascinating moment because you just got on the boat not too far when we took off from the port of LA where you were starting right down the road. Tell everyone what decision you had to make when you came to the NFL.
Well, I wasn't even watching the draft because I had the Navy commitment, and there were some people who were interested in me, but I never thought I would get picked up. So I was actually working in the Navy, probably in Florida or something. And then they told me, I guess, that I got picked up by the Raiders, like 3rd or 4th round. I'm like, what? You know, I was thinking that Cincinnati was going to get me because that's where I live. But they took a chance on me. And, you know, I told you I wanted to be an astronaut and be a Navy pilot. And I guess in my calculations, I didn't figure that I needed to swim. So I could not swim, and so never became a pilot. My ears, I couldn't go down deep because my ears were popping all the time, and yeah, and I didn't float. I couldn't even ride back seat in the plane. So football, I just loved football, and that was, you know, I had always thought I wasn't good enough to play football, but I was good enough to be an astronaut. But then when I went to the academy, it just kind of all changed. Had a great career at the academy, and really wanted to follow in Roger Staubach's footsteps.
Nice.
So he was at the academy, played for the Dallas Cowboys, saw him a lot at the academy, and actually thought I was going to be going to the Cowboys late. But then the Raiders did a surprise, and you know, I was one of my team.
Yeah, great story. And then the commitment, we'll get to that throughout the week on how you had to balance it both. Willie from Tennessee, what was your vision thinking about coming into the NFL after your track and standout football career? What were you thinking?
Well, of course, on draft day, I was sitting by the TV. We didn't have the big shows that they have now. I got a call from the Dallas Cowboys and said, well, we're going to choose you if you're available. I said, okay. So the Bears had the 18th pick, so the Bears chose me. Of course, they called and I said, okay, great. So the Bears chose me 18th, which was amazing. Think about it, guys. We get a chance to play a game that's really a kid's game, and we get a chance to play it at a high level, and we get paid for it. So it's amazing to be able to do that, and we're all blessed here. Of course, we have an ability, but it's a lot of hard work. I mean, we make it look easy sometimes, but it's so much hard work. And a lot of times, I think fans don't really understand how much work it is because we make it look so easy. But, you know, all the days of running extras and, you know, the jugs and the defensive line and the offensive line, doing all those things, it's really incredible. But I was drafted by the Bears and, of course, went to Chicago, had 5 years there. We won the Super Bowl there. I remember playing the Raiders in Los Angeles, and I'm jogging around the field before the game starts. And Al, because I called him Mr. Davis, he said, call me Al. I said, okay, great. So Al said to me, he said, remember that play you made against Kansas City? It was like 4 years ago. You made a touchdown, you did this, you did that. He went on to tell me several plays that I had made that I had forgotten about. So we became friends then. And so after my 5 years up with the Bears, we were going through contract negotiations, deals, and, you know, it just wasn't going well with the Raiders, so with the Bears. So I actually moved to LA because I was doing acting and movie stuff. So I moved to LA. I got a telephone call from George Karras and said, this is George Karras, and I want to know if you're interested in playing with the Raiders. And at the time, there was no free agency, so you couldn't actually talk to teams like that. So I said, look, if you are who you say you are, call my agent, who was David Falk, who was Michael Jordan's agent at the time. Call my agent, and let's talk about it. So I hung up. 5 minutes later, I got a call from David, said that was the Raiders, and do you want to play? I said, great. And we had a contract done within a week. So then I flew, and then I actually stayed in LA. And Mr. Davis, or Al, should I say, and I had a really great relationship. I go in his office sometimes, maybe after practice. We spend an hour just talking about life, talking about black-white relations, talking about players, talking about, you know, business. And we had a special relationship because he really loved speed. We talked about speed and how to get, what certain guys, how they could get faster. So I was very fortunate to have that relationship with him up until the day he died. Basically, I could call him and call him Al, and we talked about different things, and had a great relationship. He was a great man. He loved football. He loved football more than anything else in this world. And I have, his favorite thing was, oh, fuck.
That's the impression. All right, we got it. All right, guys, at the end, I'm going to save our next panel is going to be about legacy and the Super Bowl, but I was hanging out with Kenny and Reggie last night. We're having a cigar, and the conversation got really going on toughness. And Kenny, I want you to pick it up because I mentioned Jim Plunkett. I looked at you and I said, how tough and how great was Jim Plunkett? And my next question to all of you gentlemen are going to be, who's the toughest player you ever played with? And who's the toughest player you ever played against? Kenny, we'll start with you.
There's been some great players, but I'll tell you what, just for me is Reggie. I mean, I look at Reggie Kinlaw. Reggie Kinlaw played nose guard at 230 pounds. 230. Wet. Hey, 50 years. It knows. Give him the 35 pounds. But no, but Reggie played this game with such a tenacity. They had the double team, they had the triple team. This is a guy that just wreaked havoc on people. He made it possible for the middle linebackers to get the tackles. He made the defense run more successful. So that's my number one. But number two is JP. Jim Plunkett. I watched Jim come in with Dan Pash when he broke his leg. I think it was against Kansas City. And JP came in off the bench. This guy's been around. He's been to New England. He's been to San Francisco. And now he's with the Raiders. Now he gets a chance to come in and do something. I've seen him. I've seen him at his worst and I've seen him at his best. But the guy was tough. He was he couldn't run. Jim, no, don't run. We tell him, Jim, don't just take the sack, but don't run. Because he had the ugliest body. It was one of those, but as far as an athlete, a heart, he had a great heart. And one of the other things, the greatest thing about him is he controlled that offense. You got Gene Upshaw, you got Art Shell, you got Dave Casper, you got Raymond Chester, you got Henry Lawrence, you got Mickey Marvin, Dave Dalby. It's guys that's been there around for a while, have been starting for a long time. Oh, guess what? He come into the huddle, and these guys were talking. He tell them, shut up, I'm talking. Am I right, Killer?
No.
Oh, you didn't say anything anyways. But anyway, he controlled the offense, and I have a great deal of respect for that.
How about you, Reggie? Maybe the toughest teammate you've ever played with. And by the way, Kenny, nice compliment using your brother as that example. I thought that was really cool.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. It's kind of hard for me because I played with some great ones. I always ask this question. I played in both Super Bowls with two different defensive tackles, John Matuzak and Dave Browning, and then Super Bowl 18, Howard Long and Lon Jose. So, yeah, it's a toss-up. I mean, I feel I played for both those four guys, but they're always tough, and I enjoy playing with them. And two other guys, Matt Millen and Bob Nelson, that Bob Nelson never got the kind of respect that he should have. Matt did. He made it to the Pro Bowl a couple of times, but I think me and Bob Nelson was like the underdog on the defense, and most of those other guys we had, Ted, Rod, they all was all pro, Lester and Mike Haynes and Mike Davis, and Van McElroy. So that I think it's those four defensive linemen I played with. Now, the toughest guy I ever played against is this guy named Dwight Stevenson from the Miami Dolphins. Oh, he kicked my ass. He kicked a lot of butts. I think he was like the first African American center to ever start. And I played against a lot of centers, and they all, excuse me, but they was white. But when this guy came around, he took center to another level. He was bad. Trust me, he was bad. I remember we were playing the Dolphins, and the whole game only had one damn tackle. One tackle. And the play that I did make, I swung around him, and he told me, you know, I knew you was gonna go that way. I said, damn, thank you for the damn tackle. He kicked butts. He was excellent.
All right, Nap, we got about 5 minutes to go before a couple of questions here. So for you, teammate, and the hardest maybe hit you took from an opponent. What are you thinking?
All right. Teammates, I played at the Naval Academy, so, no one wanted to hit me. So I was in a red shirt pretty much all the time, and I used to kid everybody, I'm in a red shirt so I don't hurt them. But when I got to the Raiders, we were just doing thug, and I got hit by a safety, and man, it just rocked my mind, and everybody on the Raiders was tough. I just never played with guys that good and mean. And like Marcus said, he gave me some words of wisdom. He said, Nap, if you get in a fight, don't stop. Coaches are watching. So the whole Raider team, and then the biggest hit I had was Chip Banks from Cleveland Browns. He knocked me out, and then he stood over me and he said, "I'm gonna send you back to the Navy." And I said, "I'm going."
Unbelievable. Willie, the 85 Bears, maybe one of the greatest rosters ever put together. I can't imagine those great teammates and the influence they had on you.
Right. It was a great team, of course. The toughest guy on the team was probably Walter Payton. Walter was amazing. And I had an opportunity to meet Walter before I became a Bear. And then to play with him for 5 years, he was amazing. Also, the second, or equally as tough, was a guy named Wilbur Marshall. Wilbur Marshall was just a monster. But we had a great team. We had Mike Singletary, we had a great defense. But one thing that people don't realize, our defense was ranked number 1 in the league, but our offense was number 2 that year. So we won the Super Bowl. We were voted the number 1 team in NFL history by ESPN and all these other things. But we had a good team. It was lightning in the bottle. And we actually won in spite of our coaches and everybody. Because we didn't do what they said. Jim would always change the play. Dick would call the play. Jim would go, I ain't playing. I'm not doing that. So Willie Gault can do this. I mean, he was the right player at the right time for that. And our defense, Buddy Ryan and Dick didn't get along. And Buddy was amazing. Buddy Ryan was an amazing guy too, because if he liked you, he'd tell you. If he didn't like it, he'd tell you. He'd just say, he'd call you by your number. He'd say, number 83, go do well. Or if he said, he would curse guys out. And he was a guy who really said what he thought. And that was our team. We were really amazing.
Amazing. I mean, the years these gentlemen played and all their big plays. We have a few minutes for questions. So please raise your hand. We have an open microphone right there, sir. And we'll have a couple of questions for our panel.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for your service also. During halftime, you guys are behind. What is Madden saying in that locker room?
Matt. We ain't played Matt.
Well, that was Flores. Flores, good. Let's segue to Flores. That's fair. Kenny, what did he say?
Well, there was a couple of times when we played San Diego and we were behind. I think it was 27-7. And Coach Flores was very calm. He was very mellow. He just talked softly. He'd come in and he just tell us, hey guys, we're not playing the type of football we need to be playing, and we need to go out there and turn it around. I mean, that was him. But just a great motivator with soft with softness. And that says that, you don't want a coach, people say, I don't want a soft coach, but you respect that coach. He's a two-time champion.
And his birthday was the other day, 88 years old.
Yes, sir.
Let's hear it for Coach Flores. One of the greatest of all time. Yes, sir.
So I have a two-part question for you guys. One, I want to follow up with what you said. So is it better to have better players or better coaches? And the follow-up on that one is, how hard is it when you get a new offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator? What does that do to you?
Reggie, start with you.
My second year, we got a new defensive lineman coach and a defensive. Well, Charlie was a coordinator the second year. JB? Yeah. And we brought in to what he put down for us. I mean, Earl Leggett came in. Howie Long was there before Earl got there. No, he came in after. And Earl Leggett made Howie a Hall of Famer. So that's the most important thing about a coach. I mean, a coach, if you got a good coach, he can turn anybody into a great player. I mean, and then the player has to be willing to do that. I mean, listen to your coach, because some of these guys today, I hate to say it, they think they're making more money than your coach, so I'm not going to listen to them. So I think coaching is a big part.
Napoleon, I'm going to follow up with you on that too. Coaching, was there a moment with a coach, Coach Flores, the Raiders, where it just went right through you got it, and you said, I'm going to play this certain way for this coach because he's giving me that type of great advice?
Man, you know what? The whole time I was there, I was mainly special teams, and because I wanted to play for the team. I had Marcus Allen, backup for Bo Jackson, Eric Dickerson, Roger Craig. It was hard to get in the lineup. Then we have Big Steve Smith as the fullback, so I'm just backup for everybody. And I'll play in special teams, go it all out, and just got to make some plays. So Steve Ortmeyer, he's like that.
Wow, that's a big name.
Yeah, so he's like, do whatever you got to do to make the team. My coach, he basically said, I go to him every year, am I going to make the team? And he's like, going to be tight.
Yeah, I mean, coaches give you the guideline, but unless you have the intentional fortitude to be able to go out and work hard and do it, because at the end of the day, when the game starts, the coach's not going to throw one pass or one block or one tackle. He's going to put you in a position to do it, but you have to do it. So it's all about mental. It's a mental thing. And when you get to this level, there's very little things that separate you from another guy. I mean, someone may be faster, someone may be stronger, but you give me someone who is going to work harder, I'll take him over the guy who's more talented almost any day because he's going to work harder all the time. So it's up to the player, but coaches put you in a position because most time they know what they want you to do, but they're not going to do it for you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our great panel, please. We are going to take a short 5-minute break and set up our next panel, which Kenny and Reggie will be on the panel if you guys want to stay up or walk around a little bit, and we'll be right back with our program in 5 minutes, everyone. Thank you.